Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Journal podcast. I'm your host, Scott Mackay, and I'm delighted to be joined by Tomo. Tomo, how you doing, mate?
Evening, Scott. Yeah, doing well, mate. It's Friday. It's a weekend. Rangers are about to play. What's not to be positive about, mate?
And then on to Dave. Dave, how you doing, pal?
Aye, no bad, mate. No bad. Long week.
Aye, I think we're all feeling it, to be honest. Gary, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm good. I think I was on with Tomo and Dave on Wednesday night, and it was, I suppose, what's it called, a post-mortem from the night before. So a few days of work, a few days of life, and you forget about it a bit until you start doing, come back for this preview. Then I'll
I know. Well, let's all remind each other. And since you lads were on Wednesday night, Tomo, how you generally feeling about it now? Like, have you got any kind of concluding thoughts on it, or kind of how we move forward for it, or anything?
As I say, Scott, it was just the game itself turned on the red cards, but then we start getting injuries, and certainly the likes of Tom Lawrence continues to play. There just doesn't seem to be much in terms of optimism going forward. Been confirmed Ridvan's out between 4 and 6 weeks. We all know that probably means 4 and 6 months. By the time he's then back up to speed, probably then gets another injury after 2 or 3 games when he's back. So I just think from Tuesday night, it's again we need bodies in. We need players in that are going to contribute, and doesn't seem to be any movement on either the deadwood getting taken out or players coming in. So it's a big sort of 15, 16 days now before the transfer window shuts. But at the minute, it's a hard watching us, isn't it, really?
Aye, definitely. Dave, have you got any concluding thoughts on Kiev?
Again, very much like Tomo said, to be honest, mate. I think in the game, I mean, Tomo's absolutely right. The game turned on the red. I think we all know that. But even before that, I think we were containing them fine enough. We had some chances, but it's what we already know, mate. We're lacking that quality up top. And to go on to what Tomo was saying there, there's just no movement. And I mean, the manager, he's confirmed today, which, we'd already been told, we're not going to see any movement coming in until we shift out these guys. And for me, that has to be the mission for the next week or so, is trying to shift at least a couple of them on, just so that we can get a few new faces in to freshen up this side. Otherwise, as I said on Wednesday, it's going to be a long blooming season, mate.
And Gary, on to you. You get any kind of final thoughts on Kiev and kind of how we're sitting just now?
Yeah, I suppose in terms of the game itself, over the 2 legs, we didn't deserve to go out, I suppose, and it was a terrible decision that went against us. I don't think we played particularly well in either game, but as good, if not better, than Kiev did over both the games. So it was unfortunate that a big decision went against us. If that results other way, it's a totally different couple of days, isn't it? And I think that's part of the thing. It's trying not to get too high and too low at the moment. I think we need to get some places. I think you just pod last night. We need to get some positions filled and get a bit of stability around the club. We need to get back home to Ibrox. We need to kind of while we're waiting for those things, we need to get enough results to keep us going. I think that's kind of where we're at. It's not going to be good or massively fun for the next couple of weeks. It's just getting through it until we get back to some stability.
Aye, definitely, mate. I think it's a wee bit, I don't know, a bit downcast just now in terms of a transfer front, considering we're supposed to be in the process of this major rebuild. I've got some of Clement's quotes for the presser today. He says it's important for the club to sell players to also get players in. That is the case, and some of them have known that for a really long time, and they're still in the building. So that makes things more difficult, but it is what it is. I cannot put a gun to their heads to get them out of the building. That is not the idea. It's not something I can control. All the energy is on the players who are here, the players who will be here, and to get the next result. Tomo, I think it's just another kind of short of realism, innit? Like, you've got guys like Matondo, Davies, and all these guys still kind of kicking about Hampden, who we know clearly aren't good enough. I think the signs of the signings that have come in has been fairly positive. What about Hamza Agaman in the training pictures today? Are you expecting to see him getting some minutes tomorrow?
I mean, first of all, it's good to, let's say, see him. Will we see him some minutes tomorrow? Well, we don't know what's going on with Danilo. He's been on the bench, the last 4 games? I'm sure someone will correct me. And apart from some minutes against Birmingham in pre-season, he's not been used. Even, against Hearts, we needed a goal. Against Dynamo Kiev, we needed a goal. And he's nowhere to be seen. So it's worrying that he's taken up a place on the bench and Igaman hasn't been fit enough to even do that. So it would be nice to see him on the bench and hopefully get some minutes tomorrow. But in this day and age of sports science and minutes being managed, etc., it's a guessing game. Gone are the days that you sign someone and you get put in the team and they're ready to go. But some of the things that I've been thinking about again since Wednesday is Hadji didn't play in the B team game the other night. There's rumours that if he plays another game, then his wages go up. Now, are we in such a dire position that we can't play who... He's a better player than Tom Lawrence. I'm not saying Hadji is the answer, but are we in such a position where we can't play someone who will contribute more on the pitch than what Tom Lawrence is? And that worries me, that we could be in that bad of a financial state that we can't get our best players on the pitch. From what I understand, Hadji's working hard. He's playing in the B team games. I think it's a different scenario to what Cantwell is. And if it is a case of he plays some more games and his wages go up, and that's why he's not playing, again, you've got to be looking at the people who are dishing out these contracts and basically giving the manager one hand tied behind his back. Because as much as we can say Clement can do this, Clement can do that, a lot of this, or near enough all of this, isn't of his making. These players who are on vast sums of money and just aren't contributing were here before he was in the door. And it's, again, mismanagement over the last 2-3 years that we're weeping now, really. And that's the issue.
Yep, certainly is. We'll go on to kind of speak about Hadji shortly, because it's something I'm finding quite interesting. I wonder if Todd Cantwell's away using TikTok's training facilities just now. It really, really wouldn't surprise me if that's where he is. He's been able to be seen it. Genuinely wouldn't surprise me if he's away training with our club, because he's literally invisible man. At least we've seen Hadji training with B team and all this kind of stuff. Dave, where you at on kind of transfers in a squad as it's sitting just now?
Yeah, so I mean, I think what you said about realism's right. That's clearly what the manager set out to do, making that statement today. But at the same time, I think if we've been fair, we were told this about a month ago now. So it shouldn't have been news to anyone. As far as transfers go, it's a really tough one, because I get what you're saying. You can't force these guys out. And I actually wonder if there's an element of that in the Hadji situation. I wonder if it's so much that we can't afford the pay rise, as if he doesn't see him in his plans, even though he's better than Lawrence, is it a case, right, you play him, he gets his wage rise, and then he thinks, well, I'm cushy, I've got an extra $6,000 a week, I'm not moving unless someone matches it. So I think there could be an element of that. I think the other thing that gets me, I've seen a lot of comments saying play the kids, right? And do you know what? I've probably said it myself at times, to be fair. Moments of rage. But in the end of the day, people are expecting a lot. This is the same kids that went and played in the Lowland League and didn't win it. It's the same kids that, yeah, they beat them, but it was 3-2 against Clyde. And we're suddenly going to start playing them at Premier League level and expect what? A magic solution? There just isn't one. That's the problem. We as fans, we're all demanding, we want top players and we want to sign the youth and destroy everyone, and it just isn't going to happen. And it's hard to say as a fan, but I think we need to be realistic that this is going to be probably a good couple of seasons, I reckon, before we can look at that squad and say, do you know what, that squad's in a really good place. We've got a nailed-on starting 11 we can be proud of. We've got strength and depth if we get these injuries. And, it was, I think one of the guys said it before, that there's been serious mismanagement in the squad. Serious mismanagement. We've signed injury-prone players. We've bought them in on big contracts. They're not keen on shifting. We're wondering why. Well, probably because nobody else is going to match the contracts we were daft enough to give them. So I think, yeah, it's frustrating. I'm as frustrated as anyone. You see in the group chat, I'm probably one of the more negative ones in there, to be fair. But I think we do need to be realistic about the timescales that are going to be involved in this. We are not coming to the end of this transfer window ready to go and fully complete squad, happy with everything. There is going to be compromises in that squad.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. Sorry, I had an unexpected visitor.
Aye, you're fine.
Can't open the door there because his mum went to the toilet. Anyway, right, Gary, left back slot. Ridvan's out for 6 weeks for hitting a shot. It still bewilders me how somebody can get injured hitting a shot, right? It's just Rangers just now. I want Robbie Fraser in there for balance and stuff tomorrow. I think Hefty playing at left mid isn't a bad shout either. That's where everybody's gaining his confidence and stuff. What's your take on it?
I think firstly, as you say, how Ridvan manages to get himself injured, hitting a shot. And I think most of his injuries have either been hitting a shot, passing to somebody, or passing towards somebody, rather than passing to somebody, probably. His injuries have all been kind of thigh injuries, calf injuries, things like that seem quite innocuous. So how he manages to get them, I do not know. I think I did say on Wednesday night that one of the good things is we've actually got a bit of depth in the left back position, one of the few positions where we had more than 2 players. So you have Hefty and you've got Fraser now. My take, I listened to the press conference away up the road. It suggested to me that Hefty was the second choice. He said we've got 2 left backs and then talked about Fraser. So I suppose my take on it is that Hefty seems to be the more likely one that's going to be slotting in there. Fraser may get an opportunity tomorrow, but when it comes to league game next week, not a Champions League playoff, unfortunately. League game next week, it'll be Hefty. So Fraser might get a game tomorrow, but I don't think he's going to be the first choice going forward for the next 6, 8, 9, 12, however many weeks it is that Ridvan's actually out.
Tom, what about you on the left back situation now that Ridvan's out?
Yeah, I mean, we've not seen a huge amount of Hefty, and I've not seen him like prior to signing, but he didn't look too clever against Man United when he played there. I like him sort of going forward. And again, Robbie Fraser's another one. Not seen a huge amount of him, but when he had a couple of games at the end of last season, he looked capable enough. We've gave Robbie Fraser a new contract, so why not play him? That'd be my thinking. Why not play him? I see sort of in the comments, someone's mentioned potentially Sterling at left back. If that comes out tomorrow and Sterling's playing left back, you'd be saying, like I say, what was the point in giving Fraser a new contract if we're just shoehorning people into a team? He was obviously felt good enough, and we all knew about Ridvan's injuries. We knew it wouldn't be long before he gets injured again, and it's happened. So for me, give Robbie Fraser a go there now, and leave Hefty to play further on. That'd be my thinking on it.
Dave, what about you?
Yeah, I'll be honest, Ridvan's starting to worry me. I like Ridvan as a player once he's had that few games to get himself back up to speed. For me, the issue is he's fast becoming the new Roof. Great player when he's fit. It's always keep seeming to say, you come back, you'll have a bad game. He'll be all right in a couple of games. Starts looking a bit decent. and then gets injured again. So I think kind of longer term, the club need to give that some serious thought. As for who plays over the next few weeks, I think for me, it's not even just as simple as who plays at not right back, at left back, because we've got Ridvan out, we've also got Cortez out. So for me, unless you have one of your kind of out on the side options like a Davies or a Sterling being forced in there, then for me, your left-hand side is a choice of 3 players. You've got Fraser, you've got Matondo, and you've got Hefty. We know Wright's out. Journey was signed on the right wing, and to be honest, I think we need him there anyway. So when you're looking at that 3, for me, it has to be Fraser at fullback, Hefty a lineup. Otherwise, you're chucking Matondo in there, and to be honest, I've seen enough of the boy this season. He's quick. Yeah, he has moments of magic, but 95% of the time, there's just no end product there. And to be honest, people are talking about this. It's a cup game. It's not lower league opposition we're playing. It's still a Premier League team. So I think we have to take it relatively seriously. Yeah, I fully expect there'll be changes. Yeah, we might give chances to a couple, but we still need to play a strong team. And for me at the minute, that is Fraser and Hefty.
Right, well, we'll kind of get into predicted lineups. I've made some not a wee bit different that I would like to see for tomorrow, just to kind of try and put a positive spin on everything, because it's quite hard being a Rangers fan just now in terms of this. I know it's really difficult to see. I've literally just made up my phone 2 seconds ago. So I've went for Liam Kelly, Dujon Sterling at right back, Suter and Proper with Robbie Fraser, and then Barron and Bailey Rice with Hadji ahead of them. Cherny, Matondo, and Danilo up front. Tomo, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't be against it. As Davis said, though, it's not like this is a gimme. It's not like we're in fantastic form. We're 4 games into the season, so I don't think we'll be seeing too many changes. But again, it's that left-hand side. We've lost our 2 starting left-hand side players, Ridvan and Cortez, in the first 4 games. So we're going to have, it's basically going to be backups until they're fit again. But as I say, without knowing the full situation with Hadji, as a fan, I'd want to see him in there because he'd contribute more than what a lot of the players who are getting minutes at the moment are contributing. I just don't think we'll be seeing it. And for me, I think it'll probably be, again, Tom Lawrence in that number 10 role. And my TV will probably get him put through. But, I like the look of the team. I think you've got a good shout there, but I just can't see risks being taken, if that's a word, in the likes of Bailey Rice, as much as we'd like to see them play.
Dave, where are you at on this lineup?
So, if you asked me to pick a lineup, right, and we're in good form, actually, I'd be okay with this, probably with the exception of Matondo for the reasons I just outlined. Mm-hmm. But I think, as Tomo said, I think we'll see a much more standard, kind of, as close to full strength as he can go starting lineup. Wouldn't surprise me if we see Rice get some minutes. I'm just not convinced that it'll be from the off. Hadji, I just don't know. I'm exactly the same as Tom. I'd love to see Hadji in there ahead of Lawrence. I don't think Hadji is the silver bullet that's going to kind of fix everything, but I do think he gives you more than Lawrence does, for sure. Danilo, I'd love to see it, but I just can't imagine that it's going to happen given his reluctance to play him. which is a bit of a strange one. Again, I know he's coming back from injury, but he offers you something different from Dessers. And, there's been times we've been chasing games, and I do accept you take the first leg of the Kiev game, the easy answer might have been to chuck Danilo in. Then you wouldn't have had your last-minute equaliser, but that could have just as easily gone the other way, as it did in the second leg. So, I would like that team. I don't think we'll see it, though.
No, well, we won't see it, but the point is that it's there and it's within the squad. So there is different options that the manager's not picking just now.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of it comes down to, I guess you could call it stubbornness. He's got his plans, he's got his thoughts, he knows what he wants to do, and he's sticking to it. And I guess whether we like it or not, it's his job that's on the line for this in the end of the day. So, he's right to go with what he thinks. I do think we need freshened up, though, and I think that's kind of what you've been aiming for there, is to try and bring a bit of freshness to the team. Something that we haven't seen so far.
Aye, definitely. Gary, where you are, I'm just retyping this because I've just realised I've put Hadji in twice.
It's so good he's in twice.
I wish you
Turning that wage rise.
I think, and I'm going to be probably controversial and go against what you're saying, Scott. I think on Football Manager 25, it would be an ideal team, but when you take into account things like fitness and the fact that Danilo, Hadji, Cherny, Hadji again, because he's there again, Rice and all those ones would only be able to play at most an hour on that. I think the likelihood is slim. I think in terms of, I think what you're saying is right. I mean, there is a number of players in the squad we have. In most cases, around 2 players for every position. Other than, I think we've talked a lot in the group chat about a lack of central midfield. The problem is they're not getting games either because they're come back from injury, because they're not quite fitting the plans, because they're potentially on their way out, and a whole host of things like that. I'm not sure we don't have enough players at times. You can argue about the quality and how good they are and all the other stuff goes with it, but there is enough players there. Hadji, do you know what? Hadji's all of a sudden get better. Last season we were all talking, he was away at Alaves, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
And he wasn't getting a game there, and we were saying, well, do you know what? He's not quite good enough for us. When he comes back, we'll look to sell him. I think now, because we're seeing that we have no other number 10s other than Lawrence, we're now saying, get him back in. He must be better than what we've got. I like Hadji. I thought he was a really good player. But there's obviously something in the background why, maybe beyond the contract, as to why we're not wanting to keep him. The other ones I suppose I pick up on is Sterling. I think it's a great example for a right back, because I think I find it crazy that Tav's been asked to play 90 minutes in a row after having no pre-season, whereas Cherny can't play more than 60 minutes when he was only on holiday for 4 weeks, for example, or some other ones. There's things that don't make sense from a sports science point of view, and how he's doing. So you think logically some of these guys that played, Dessers, guys like that need some time off. But I'd be surprised if they're not back playing 90 minutes again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I struggle with this whole sports science thing when Danilo's not 90 minutes, but Tav's played 4 sets of 90 minutes. Dessers has played 4 sets of 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And some of these Cherny's only fit enough to come on for half a match and do this here and that there. It's just, it sounds an awful lot more muddled up than what it was last season, in terms of simplifying it and all that. You know what I mean? Tomo, where you at on it, mate?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what Gary's saying there. I mean, we've had discussions, obviously over the summer about Tavernier and whether he leaves or whether he stays. And I think the big consensus was, if he was to stay, this sort of needs to be the season that he's, starts transitioning out of the team. And these first 4 games, I'm not going to jump on him and say he's been absolutely horrific or terrible, because I don't think he has. But at the same time, he certainly looks like he's lost that yard of pace that he had. He really seems to be struggling to get up and down the park. So if the right back going forward is going to be Sterling, then we get him in for these sort of games, And as you say, there's people who you can't play more than 45 minutes, and Tavernier had very little minutes in pre-season, and he's there playing 90 minutes every game. The guy's like 33 now, and he's being asked to be a main attacking force again, and that's unfair on him. That is unfair on him, and he shouldn't be doing that. It should be the forward players, but we don't have the quality in the forward areas. And as Gary said, Hadji getting magically better since he was away. I mean, I'll be honest, I was of the opinion I didn't think he was good enough. I thought he'd lost a bit of pace. Didn't have much to start with, but I thought after the injury. But at this moment in time, it has to be able to offer more than what the forward players are at the minute. It just has to. We've got no creativity there. So it's just a mess. It really is. And we're hearing, like you say, we're hearing different messages about different players. And who knows what to believe anymore. It's just, get your best players out on the pitch and let them play football. That's how simple it is to me, unfortunately.
Have you got time, Tomo, to run us through your team just now?
Yes, mate. So again, I don't expect to see a huge amount of change because it's early in the season and it is a big game. We played 4 games, we've won 1, we've lost 1, we've drawn 2, and we need to start getting some sort of momentum. So I don't think we'll see much, if any, change tomorrow night. So gone Butland, Tavernier, Suter, Proper, Fraser. Then midfield of Diomande, Barron, Lawrence, then Cherny, Dessers and Hefty. I don't see wholesale changes. I would like to see other people given a chance, maybe who's got a little bit more something to prove about them. But I just don't see it happening. I think, I can't remember who it was that said it, but I think the manager might be a little bit stubborn and just it's my way or nothing. So unfortunately, I think it'll be much the same as Tuesday night.
Gary, what's your thoughts on Tomo's lineup?
I think it's going to be the one that's closest to the right one from any of the four you will look at tonight. I think he will go strong. I think he will. There's probably 1 or 2 changes maximum from what's in his team. I think Kelly will start tomorrow, just when I've seen the other team popping. I think it'd be crazy not to play him tomorrow. If you're going to sign a keeper that was a captain of Motherwell and it's third choice for Scotland, you've got to at least give him some game time at some point. So tomorrow I think he will play. I've said already, I think Tav logically should be getting rested. I don't think he will, particularly if we do make a few changes, they'll keep him in. I think in terms of the squad, it's much of a muchness. There's not a lot of guys like Davies and Dowell, I think, and mine and Matondo probably need games. They're going to need to bring them in at some point. They're going to be part of the squad going forward. It's unlikely they're going to be sold. It doesn't look like there's anything happening over the next couple of weeks. So I think you need to get them playing at certain points in time. So hence the reason I think I stuck Davies in, give Suter a rest. Suter's not necessarily been in great form. I think Hefty will be left back. I don't think Fraser will start. As I agree with you, I don't necessarily think I wouldn't like him to start. I think he should be given a chance, but I think Hefty will be the attacking outlet down that left-hand side. Some of this I'm basing on the fact that the Motherwell game last week, we talk a lot about formations and stuff like that. He kind of played a 4-1-4-1 maybe, would that be right? Or maybe, and pushed up the 2 full-backs as well. So I think because you're playing St Johnstone at home, effectively Hampden, he might push Tav and Hefty up, use their attacking prowess down the sides, and then kind of move, really try and smother St Johnstone's. I think from an attacking point of view, Hefty being left back, but pushing forward might actually be beneficial. Dessers, I think, will play. Again, Danilo probably needs half an hour, but he'll start, I think, Dessers. And Matondo frustrates life out of me, as I've said in every pod, but there's things there. He's got ability at some different points in time. He can do the odd good thing, and as a Welsh international that's cost £8 million for Schalke, he should be able to play games for us now and again. Whether we want him long term, he should be able to contribute to the squad over the next period anyway. So I think I've got there maybe 3 or 4 changes from the game during the week. Mm-hmm. I think Tomos will probably be closer, but I would probably I think you need to rotate the squad a bit, and the League Cup's one of the places you can do that.
I would need to agree. I'm not sure if Dowell's going to come in. to me, he should be one of the ones we're looking to move out. But there's knowing Rangers, there's a chance he's going to come in and play. Dave, what's your thoughts on Gary's lineup? On mute.
Helpful. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, to be fair, mate. I think it'll be fairly close. I would agree, keeper-wise. I think Kelly probably needs to get a game in the Cups. He's not going to get much elsewhere. I think Tav, yeah, I reckon he'll play proper. Don't know about Davies. Again, I guess a lot of that depends what he wants to do on the left-hand side. You know, does he maybe envisage chucking Davies in at left back?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? I would tend to agree. I think Suter could maybe do a game off. Hasn't been the best of form, so maybe a game just to relax. Why not play Devine at right back? Because he's mince. Sorry. No, I'm not a fan of Devine, if I'm being honest. I think the fact he struggled to get a game from Motherwell ahead of Stephen O'Donnell was probably the final nail in his coffin for me. In the middle, I'm not convinced Dow starts from Gary's team. I've gone slightly different, as you can see there. So I actually chucked Sterling in alongside Barron. Primary reason for that, I think Sterling needs the minutes, and I think Dio needs a bloody rest, if I'm being honest. He looked done in that Kiev game before he was taken off. Understandably so, right enough, but yeah, he's looked tired a couple of times, so it could be a game. You know, chuck Sterling in there alongside Barron. A pair of them seem to have enough energy for the rest of the team anyway. I'll be honest, I think Cherney will start. It'd be a good way to build his minutes. I've put Lowry in at number 10. It's kind of a mix of hope and the need for Lawrence to have a break. Yeah, in an ideal world, I probably would prefer to see Hadji there, but at the same time, I think, you know, he's been pretty clear Hadji isn't going to play, and the only way I see that changing is if we hit the end of the transfer window and he's still here. So for me, Lowry's an option, and again, it's a bit like what we were saying before. It's an option. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's definitely a possibility. And then, as I said, the left-hand side, I think for me, the choice of three, they would be the two I would pick. And then up top, Dessers. I just don't see any world that Danilo starts this game, given his reluctance to play him even at the end of games when we've been chasing a goal or only just ahead, and that, you know, the second league game. I cannot see Danilo starting. So I think Dessers will start. Changes wise, I think there's an opportunity to give some youths a run out as well as the likes here Danilo, but we'll only see it if we're a couple of goals ahead, I reckon. I think if it's, you know, level or tight, then he'll crack on. That's when you'll probably see the likes here Dowles, Dios coming on the pitch, McCausland, rather than maybe younger lads like Bryce, Lowry, etc. So, yeah, as I said, that's my team. I think most of it will be right. The bit I probably don't expect to truly see is at number 10 with Lowry.
Part 2 of Clement's press conference has just been released on Rangers TV there, and he says that the idea for Danilo Umar is to get him some minutes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I highly doubt that's as a starter, though. That's a starter.
No.
So,
Agreed.
Let's look at changing narrative a wee bit here, gents. What, Tomo, what are we looking for tomorrow? What can make us feel an awful lot better about Rangers tomorrow night? And obviously, there's been some stuff on social media today regarding how Ibrox is looking. Ibrox is looking okay. It's looking as if it's progressing well enough. Hopefully, we get some kind of correspondence for the club soon. That it's progressing faster than what was initially expected. That's what I'm hoping. and we can get a date to get back into Ibrox. So if we get news like that and a good performance tomorrow, does that kind of start to make you feel a wee bit better about where we're going?
Yes and no, Scotty. I mean, I want us, first and foremost, it's a cup game. You win and get through to the next round. That's what you want. But at this stage of the season, you want to see a good performance. You want to see players gelling, having a bit of confidence, just being enjoyable to watch, because the games so far haven't been that enjoyable, really. But it then comes back down to, again, come the end of the transfer window, who's still here and who have we signed. I think that'll be the real acid test of where we are and how positive we can be for the rest of the season. Because if we're left with the guts of the same squad come the end of August, beginning of September, it's going to be a struggle. It really is. It's going to be a struggle to watch us. There's players that just quite simply aren't contributing and haven't contributed for a long time, and they're still here. And so every now and then, a decent performance getting sprinkled in isn't going to change that. So I think starting with tomorrow, I think a good performance into the next round, that'll help us. We've then got, I think, a week then until our next game. But like I say, for me, it's the transfers come the end of this month and who's still here and who's gone. It's really going to shape how the rest of our season goes.
Aye, definitely. Gary, where you at on how we can change the narrative and the mood amongst the Rangers support?
Do you know, it's a strange one, because the first half an hour against Motherwell last week was probably the best we've played in months. Actually, do you know, some of the movement, football was really good. I mean, it was really quite enjoyable. Dynamo Kiev away, we were pretty good in that game. We weren't terrible in another one. I think it's a lot of the outside factors that are really causing the mood, and it's not necessarily the football. The football's kind of happening for 90 minutes, then it's all the mood round about it, whether it's Ibrox, whether it's the board, whether it's transfers, whether it's get deals or everything else that's going on in the background that's kind of got this, and the hangover from last season, to be honest with you, hangover of not winning the league. I think that's, so how do you change them? You need to, I think, as I said earlier on, you need to tide over for the next few weeks, winning games, winning them as pretty as you can, although just winning them is the crucial part, and then get each of these things ticked off. So the new CEOs, you probably talked about in a bit of detail last night, moving back to Ibrox, getting to end the transfer window, where we all know, if we're being honest, the likelihood is there will be 2 or 3 new players coming in. Might not be the quality or the ones you want, might not be as what would have been if the Champions League, but it's highly unlikely. Even listening to Coman's press conference, he talked about needing to add more quality to the squad to be competitive this season. So there will be players coming in. How good they'll be, we'll find out. So I think we get to probably the end of September. You've got Ibrox back, you've got the players in place, you've got Europa League started. Hopefully results have gave you that way, and it's a totally different world. You know, football does change quickly, and I think that's the thing. We can be sitting here and moaning every night's a Rangers journal and depressing night, but it can change very rapidly if we get a couple of results.
Aye, exactly. It only takes going to Parkhead, snatching a draw, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, we're not as bad as what we first thought. That's why I put that squad up, because there is still some quality players in the building. If you inject some decent youth into that, i.e. Robbie Fraser comes in and he's an absolute stalwart in the next 3-4 weeks. If Bailey Rice comes in as your 6th that everybody's saying we're so desperately needing, and he plays really good, then all of a sudden that's 2 new players in your team that you've not seen before. So effectively they're coming in as new signings. Hamza Agaman comes in, scores a couple of goals, settles right in, looks a find.
Who's got?
But if he comes in, scores a couple of goals, looks a bit of a steal, then all of a sudden the narrative changes quickly. Yanis Hadji comes back and reminds us why he's so good. I'm just trying to kind of remind us all that there is quality in that building. It's just about playing it, and that's to the manager. You can't have guys like Cantwell and Hadji fading away in the B team. I've got my thoughts on Todd Cantwell, but at the end of the day, he's a quality player, and we can't keep playing Tom Lawrence. Dave, where you at? How do we change the narrative around about the mood that Ibrox just now?
Tomorrow, you don't. To be honest, I think Gary's spot on. I think there's a hell of a lot of things. You might get a wee temporary bump tomorrow if you got a cracking result, but I think there's a lot of off-field stuff going on that fans want to see resolved one way or the other, and I think that will only take time. From tomorrow, the kind of things that might give you that bump, so obviously thumping performance, grabbing a load of goals. Everyone loves that. I think outside of that, the main things for me are probably the performances of the players that have come in this window, so the likes of Cherney, and if they really step up, stamp their foot on the game. And I think also the youth players would be the other side of it. So the likes of the ones you've just mentioned, Rice, Fraser, they come in, as you said, they make themselves a fixture in that team. That will buoy people up because, everyone loves seeing an academy product come in and doing the business. I'm pretty sure, Rice plays minutes in that game tomorrow, has a cracking game. We'll be hearing all about Barry Ferguson for the next week and how he's the next coming. Equally, if they don't, then obviously nobody will be interested. So I think you might get a temporary bump from tomorrow, but it will only be temporary either way, whether that's good or bad, because, longer term, there's far, far wider ranging issues that need to be dealt with than just getting through that cup game. Obviously, for the squad, that's the most important thing, but as fans, I think we're well aware there's a hell of a lot more going on around the club at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. Our dogs come in. See, he's in Johnstone 5-0 announced CEO on Monday, and things will start to look up.
Yeah,
that's football. That's how quickly things can change. Come to you for a wee quick score prediction. How you think we're going to play more, Gary? I'll come to you first.
So I think that Dessers will almost certainly score. Seems to get a bit of abuse again. That's kind of how it works in it. One game gets a bit of abuse, the next game he scores. So it must be a due to score this one. So I think probably something around 3-1 might be a reasonable suggestion, but we're still looking get caught in the break. I think actually I said one of the match reports thing last week. I think that's the way Claude plays. I think he's happy to get caught in the break and take his chances that we will outscore teams. It seems to be the way. So I think we will lose a goal, but I think we'll probably score 3. And again, if it's similar to the Motherwell game, except for a more consistent period than 30 minutes, I'll be relatively happy.
That's fair. Dave, what's your score prediction tomorrow night, mate?
I think 2-1. I'm not convinced we'll get 3. And I agree with Gary. I think we will concede, to be fair. I think that is a bit of a trademark of how Clement wants to play. So I think, 2-1.
2-1. You've got his hanging by coattails again. Just like Motherwell. Tom, what about you?
I'm going to go for, I think, 2-0. I think it'll be a fairly sort of scrappy game. But as Gary pointed out, we didn't play bad against Motherwell. But again, like last season, we were coming into the last few minutes, just a goal ahead when really we should have maybe been 2 or 3. And again, that just changes the mood of people. If we have 3-4-0 up, it's like the narrative is completely different come the end of the game. Whereas you win 2-1, it's like, we're hanging on or whatever it might be. So I think we need to just go out there and have a bit of a dominant performance and put away our chances when we get them. We're too wasteful. But I'm going to go 2-0 tomorrow.
I'm going to go 3-0 in a dominant performance. I'm going to try and be a bit of a happy clapper just now. I think if fans need something, and I think Rangers are going to come out with a bit between their teeth and take a game at St Johnstone. Right, gents, well, that just about wraps us up for tonight. Tomo, thanks for coming on, mate.
No, as always, Scott, appreciated. Thank you very much for having me, and good job hosting as always.
Dave, cheers for coming on, pal.
Aye, pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Gary, thanks, mate.
Cheers, Scott. We'll go away and watch the first game of the English Premier League. Is that on the night? I think that starts very shortly. And hopefully the result tomorrow.
Everyone's done their fantasy teams.
Yeah.
Listen, if you think we're bad, just go and watch Man United. That will cheer you all up.
Things could be worse. They could have 50 players and spent a £1.5 billion with Chelsea. Do you know? Or you could have Man United.
I seen something on Twitter earlier on, and some guy says Chelsea are going to need another training complex. There's about 50 bodies in a gym. It's crazy. So
that's what's every pod pick up some other team's misfortune. How they're worse than us.
That's it, mate. That's it. There's always a bright side somewhere, isn't there? Right, so hopefully we'll be back with a post-match reaction tomorrow. Get your notifications turned on. That will be scheduled. I'll put it out to the lads tonight to see if anybody can do it. If not, we'll see you again on Monday at 6:30, where we will speak about an in-depth kind of dive into St Johnstone performance. But apart from that, if we don't see you tomorrow, we'll see you then. Remember, every night is Rangers Journal.